Vaughn back at it with a expansion. 600 games, but 600 good games. Shall we say good games? Is that controversial? We got Xbox. This is the highlight of the build. You got 100 of these remake games. Things like Alex the Kid, Marvel vs. Capcom, Ninja Turtles, Tetris, Streets of Rage, Sonic remixes. You even have Rayman, Raiden, Pac-Man, Joe and Mac, and the list goes on and on and on. So it's kind of a modern twist of the best games. He built this build thinking, I don't want to spend all this time scrolling through games. I just want the games that are, fun to play. I guess it's to each their own, but kind of you said this before, the best of the best, but his best of the best. And I have to say this is different than some of the other best of the best that I've reviewed. So this is a standalone build. It's only around 300 gigabytes. The download's even smaller than that when it's compressed. And it gives you a little bit of everything. And if you want, it merges with a bigger build to make this a 1.2 terabyte build total. And then there's other packs and things coming down the pipeline as well. So in this video, we'll go ahead and see what the standalone build is, and then I'll explain if you want to merge it, and then we'll play some games to show you everything's kind of pre-set up, ready to go. The premise for this was a build that you can just drop into a bar top or an arcade cabinet, but I'm playing it on a computer, and it runs great. Xbox 360 controls, no issues whatsoever. So whether you're dropping it into an arcade cabinet or you're just going to be using it on a computer or a laptop or something like that, totally good to go. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Boot it up. You are in Retro Bat. It's version 6.3, and it's all set up. You just hit start on your controller. You can do all kinds of settings and things within Retro Bat. But you'll notice 573 games for 300 gigabytes. So a lot of these games are going to be large. However, do note, his modern build, the one that I'm not showing you in this video, but that you can merge into this one, was 2000s and newer systems. This one breaks that rule a little bit. I've noticed, for example, you do have Sega Mega Drive Genesis. You also have NES in here as well. But this is kind of the best of the best build. I'm loving the PC Windows section. This is really kind of where the highlight of the build is, the amount of retro remakes. So if you're into those retro games, a lot of them have been remade. Some of the games are garbage, but some of them are good. The thing I like about newer games is just the compatibility with controls. When you play a newer game, the sound is better, the visuals are better, and then the controls are slightly better. Some people, maybe they take it a little too far, like this, like you're thinking way too much RGB, get out of my face, I'm having seizures right now. For sure, there's kind of going overboard with the effects and things, but like DuckTales Remastered, great game, great adventure game. The Final Fantasies remakes, really good stuff. So this is where I'm liking the build the most. That's why I'm highlighting this. You got a lot of games you can play here, a lot of little indie games, remakes, things like that. Even Mega Man 11 here. And so this is where a lot of the build is. Between Underground 2, Joe and Mac, Caveman Ninja. So many remakes. Oh, even have Pinball FX3. Speaking of pinball, you not only have Pinball FX3, this build also has Future Pinball as well. And something I was surprised to find out is that Future Pinball also comes with, it's all pre-set up for your controller. So Xbox 360 controller runs just fine. And remember, a lot of this stuff was meant for like an arcade or bar top, so it's also set up for sticks, arcade sticks. Wow, look at Sonic go. Sonic 4, Episode 1 and 2. Streets of Rage 4, Super Meat Boy. So, sorry about that. Moved over there. Where were we? Streets of Rage 4, Super Shredder's Revenge, Tetris Effect. So like Tetris Effect, maybe a little too many effects for some people. I find it very soothing to play myself, but to each their own. Marvel Capcom 3. And then it keeps going. There we go. And we're back to the beginning of the alphabet there. So 100 games there. So it does have Xbox. A lot of people don't put Xbox games on emulation much. So cool to see that. A few games. Even Spike Out Battle Street.
Man, Nothing's changed.
And then let's just go through the systems here. Thomas Wave, you have 12 games. Here are the 12, so some fighting games, some shooters. Dreamcast, you also have Naomi on here as well. So just go through these games really quick. Kind of the best of the best. Power Stone 1 and 2 being super popular. Rayman 2. Revolt, they're remaking this game, right? I don't think it's out yet, but I remember seeing a trailer for it. They're going to remake this game. Really cool game. Glad it's getting a remake. Great boxing game. Sega GT, really fun racing game. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Soul Calibur, Speed Devils. And then, of course, gotta have Pod Racer. Street Fighter 3. Tennis, Tokyo Extreme Racer 1 and 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So it looks like you have a bunch of different Tony Hawks on this build. Crazy Taxi 2, Frogger 2, Jet Grind, and then we're back. All right, there's the future pinball. It looks like you have 21 tables. Got a monster sound.
Access granted.
Okay. All right, Full House, Gremlins. Whew, it can get you dizzy fast. The Phantom of the Opera, Reel It In, RoboCop, Simpsons, Spawn, Star Wars, Terminator 2, Tron, and then Attack from Mars. Even AC/DC there. GameCube, awesome system. I love that he put all the Mario parties in here. Great games. They really are great games. The mini games and stuff for all ages. Mario Tennis, Baseball, Double Dash, Micro Machines, one of the, I think, super underrated franchise. Love it. Paper Mario, Road Trip, Star Fox, Super Mario Strikers, Smash Bros. Melee, Four Swords, Bust a Move All Stars, F-Zero, and then back to FIFA Streets 2. So MAME Arcade, 168. So that's a lot of games, actually. And again, not again, but he said, less time scrolling, more time playing games. And I would have to say, if you're looking for an obscure game, you're not going to find it. If you're looking for games you probably ran into at a bowling alley or a pizza place, this is going to have them. Sega Mega Drive, only 13 games. And again, the more popular franchises. To say these are not necessarily the best games. A lot of these games were rated highly, but who trusts those ratings anyways? But not just the ratings, these were kind of the bigger franchises as far as units sold, if you will. And there you go. Sega Model 2, or 3 actually. Sega Model 2 was here. So you had Sega Model 2, 8, and then Sega Model 3, 8. And then Naomi, so addition to the Dreamcast. So we had Crazy Taxi 2 over at Dreamcast, Crazy Taxi 1 here, Dead or Alive 2, Marvel Capcom 2, Monkey Ball, really fun game right there. And then back. Naomi 2, got 4 games. Initial D3, King of the Route or the Route, Virtual Fighter 4, Wild Riders. A little bit of lag there. Nice. All right, moving along. Neo Geo. Only 20 games. Super Baseball, Aero Fighters, King of the Monsters 1 and 2, Samurai Showdowns, Spin Master, and then King of Fighters, and then back to Aero. So no Metal Slug there, which is totally fine. Nintendo 64. So again, look at that. Kind of similar to the Dreamcast. The same games you would expect from the Dreamcast are there for 64, and then NES, same thing, Mario's, Mega Man's, Metroid, Punch-Out. PS1 and PS2 coming up, 18 PS1 games, huge library here. I don't know how you get this down to 20 games. Those are good 20 games, but people are going to be upset. Certain games are missing out. But again, it's a smaller build. And while we're going through here, there's a back catalog of builds between Retrobat and CoinOps. There's so many Launchbox builds, right? So this is another way to see if it's something that interests you. Another Monkey Ball Deluxe on the PS2. We have 2 more systems. We got Sega Saturn and Super Nintendo, and then back to Windows games, which we already saw. Tetris Plus, underrated Tetris. This would be my go-to Tetris game. So much fun. It has some puzzle modes on it. It's pretty cool. kind of keeps that tradition. Road Rash, great game as well. Cool games in the Sega Saturn. And then Super Nintendo, how many games? 41, okay. Seems like he had a harder time dwindling this down to 20 games or so. Joe and Mac 2, Baseball, Kirby, Mega Man, Madden, Micro Machines, I'm telling you, underrated series right there. R-Type 3, Bomberman, Super Mario's All-Stars, so you get all those Mario games again. Super Mario World 1 and 2, Punch-Out, Batman. Of course, you gotta have Zelda. And then the Vikings, pretty cool. And The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare. And then Contra 3, all the Donkey Kongs, great series right there, all 3 of those. And then the Earthworms. All right, so there you have it. There are the game. Little background information. This is Vaughn's Arcade Retro Bat version 3. There's a version 2. This supersedes it. It replaces it. No need for version 2. This is a standalone build that I'm showing you in the video, but it's also able to add it to Vaughn's Arcade version 1. And basically what he's saying here is he built it for like an arcade cabinet or a bar top, and it's made to be used with modern sticks, but you can use an Xbox 360 controller or keyboard and mouse, whatever you want. And he didn't do any light gun games or trackball games, but he's looking at doing add-ons in the future specifically for that. So stay tuned for that. But that's kind of the premise of this build. And I like it because it's small, but it's mighty and it has some really good games. Now, the build that you can merge with this would be Vaughn's Modern Arcade Retro Bat. It's a 540 gigabyte download. It's going to have a lot of those modern games like Soul Calibur 6 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Street Fighter 5, Xbox. So you can see here, it's going to be Windows games, Nintendo Switch, Technoparrot, PS3, Xbox 360, and a handful of upscaled PS2 and Xbox games. So no games before the early 2000s. Okay, so that's why I like reviewing this build, because you know some of the builds I do are super retro. This is just a little retro, and so you're going to see those type of games, and so it's something a little different. And so you could download this one first. You download the Vaughn's Modern Arcade Retro Bat, extract it. Then you're going to do the version 3, skip version 2, don't touch version 2. Just get version 3 and then extract version 3 into the where you had set up your Modern Arcade Retro Bat. And then it's probably a little over a terabyte, probably 1.2 terabytes total for this build when it's all extracted, I would guess around there. And then you have a ton of newer stuff. So you can do either one individually or merge the two. All right, there you have it. So that's what's on the standalone build, as you saw in the video. We're gonna do some gameplay now and then share my final thoughts. As you saw there from the download page, it's 2 separate builds, but they can be merged together. This video only showed off the version 3 standalone by itself. I will be making another video where I merge the 2. That's the plan, at least. I'm just still working on getting that completed. And I felt like I would totally rock this build as is. Especially, you know, a lot of my comments are, you know, these bigger 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte builds, just, you know, either your ISP, you know, it's just a lot of, you know, bandwidth, and or you have a slow internet connection, and or you just don't have the hard drive space. I mean, you know, hard drives aren't cheap, you know, so especially if you're, you know, a collector, you fill this stuff up pretty quickly. So that's the reason for it. As far as my take on this, you know, it's great. It's a great addition because it's a best of the best. We've already seen both coin ops and retro bat builds, like the RGS builds, Retro Game Saviors. He's also on backups. Highly recommend that build, but that build is more of a comprehensive build, give you every single game for every single system. And you're it's just a lot more work getting it all put together, everything. It's a more ultimate build, but this is different, right? This is just less scrolling, less, you know, less big collections of 500, 1,000 games per console or per system, and just more of the big hitters. So I like making videos like this so you can see what exactly is on it, how it's running, how it's set up. Of course, you can customize this any way you want. Like I said earlier in the video, what kind of sets us apart is one, these best of the best builds, although there's some overlap, you're still going to find some games on some that aren't on the other. So, you know, I like seeing that to see, because especially if it's just like you're like, oh, I just want that one game. I want to play it. I want it pre-set up. Well, there you go. The other thing this build can be used for is using it as a beginner build, right? You start with this and you can add your own games onto it. Maybe this is kind of a good starting point, a jump off point, if you will, and then you can go from there. So you have a couple options. That being said, it really comes down to picking a good front end, picking what, console systems you want on it, and then how you're going to be playing it, right? This is for PC, so it's not going to work for a Raspberry Pi, but it's a great option. The other thing being that this build excels in is, like I said earlier in the video, this is meant for an arcade cabinet or like a bar top. So if you're building a project like that or an home arcade, this is another reason why you might be interested in this build. So with all that said, that's what I think. What are the downsides to this? It just might not have the games you want, right? And there's just so many other builds. So great time to be alive, retro gaming, alive and well. This one also excels with the Windows games. I haven't seen builds like this with this many Windows remakes. I said that earlier in the video, but that was also something that stuck out to me. And then Future Pinball, you don't see Future Pinball set up ready to go very often. There's pinball only builds, but a build that, like this has Pinball FX3 and Future Pinball and some of this modern stuff as well, really does give you this more kind of eclectic collection, because you've got RPGs in there, you've got lots of racing games, shoot 'em ups, beat 'em ups. It's got a good mix of everything. And you might be wondering, doesn't have a lot of we didn't see a lot of Street Fighter things like that. If you download the modern build is going to have a lot more of that. So anyways, that's what I think. Let me know what y'all think. Another option for you out there, and stay tuned for the if we get this to 1.2 terabytes where you add the version 3 with the modern build.